How you guys doing? Welcome back to the House of Business Podcast 2.0. This is your host Caleb Thompson. We're coming live from New York City, and this is the place where we give you the knowledge and the tools to execute your dreams and your visions. Man, today we're gonna have a good episode for you. This episode is going to be it's going to be the business lessons hidden in everyday customer complaints. The business lessons hidden in everyday customer complaints. We're gonna give you three talk points as I usually do, man. Not gonna try to rip through it. We're gonna try to get through this a little quick today, just for time's sake of some personal reasons. But I'm gonna make sure that I jumped on here and I gave you guys this information. I'm going to convey this information very thorough and detailed to the best of my ability. So just lock in, stay locked in with us, and we're going to get through it. Like I said, this is called the business lessons hidden in everyday customer complaints. So if you're on a business, you're on a company, you're getting customer complaints, you need to listen to those complaints. Now, I'm not talking about the complaints that are irrational. These some of these complaints that you just know for a fact that the staff did everything that they could do to satisfy this customer. Some people are just chaos prone. They need chaos. They some individuals do not have a life. You know, a lot of times, I've read about company culture, and when I read about company culture, the company culture talks about how company culture is also affected. It's not only by not enforcing the rule, the CEO enforcing the rules. It's also affected by people who don't have a life outside of work. So when they come to work, work is their life, and they start to. Now, I'm not saying that if you have a career, you've been at 30 years, or you have a career, okay, that is your second home. 9 times out of 10, it will be your first home because you spend more time at work if you're working on some major projects or things like that, or you make it a career. That's different. But if you are just a entry employee, like I don't care if it's McDonald's, I don't care if it's a secretary, I don't care if it's working at a hotel, and every employee needs to have their own personal goals in life outside of work. If not, they will give too much attention towards sabotaging individuals at work because they have nothing better to do. So you need a life outside of work, and that's something that I read about, creating a company culture that lasts. And that's completely true, man. Each individual on this earth needs to have at least one goal that they're working towards every day, and have that keeps them from bringing their problems to work, bringing them problems into other places. But this is the same thing that we're talking about when we're talking about the lessons, business lessons hidden in everyday customer complaints. And you need to pay attention to those customer complaints. Now, like I said, man, you have to use wisdom dealing with customers, dealing with clients. Sometimes, man, I remember I had this one client with our cleaning service. Had this one client, man, I mean, wanted me to clean the whole house, and usually I don't go on these cleaning jobs. I would send someone, or I would subcontract out the contract. I would get the contract and I'll subcontract that contract out to someone else. They'll tell me when the job is done. I'll pay them a certain cut from the contract, and then I'll keep the rest. So I wouldn't even really have to leave home or where I am. But if I can't find the one that wants to take the job, or if I just need to get out of the house, I may take a couple jobs. I may go and see a couple clients. And it's the same way with our landscaping service. With my landscaping business, I don't even have to leave home. I get the contracts. The contracts come to me, or they come to a certain place, and then I just call, or I just email a landscaping business or some people that we've been working with, and I'll give them the contracts, and then they'll pay me off the contracts, or I get the entire contract and subcontract it out to them, and then pay them a percentage, and that way I won't even have to leave home if it didn't feel like it. But talk point number one, I create customer complaints as free business consultant. So you want to really know what's wrong with your business, listen to the customer complaints. But what I'm saying now, you have to listen to the customer complaints, but I'm saying you need to be wise enough to understand, okay, we're going to listen to the customer complaints. We're going to modify our systems. You do not change everything based off one customer complaint. But if it's a repetitive complaint, someone's always telling me that, our server, Brittany, is always, she's lagging around. She don't really care. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm not going to listen to everybody. I'm going to find some kind of way to investigate it silently, So, because I do understand a lot of times when someone is threatened by a certain person, people will group up on that person and try to get that person fired. Or if this person is just good at their job, you'll have multiple people saying the same thing. So a lot of times people say when multiple people are saying the same thing, it got to be true. That's not always true, man. I've been in plenty of situations where I've seen the groups of people gang up on one person just for the simple fact that they can't control the person. They don't know much about the person is operating at a different level. So anybody that works for me, you don't have to worry about multiple people hating on you, trying to get you fired. I'm going to investigate it, and I'm going to see who started the rumor, who started, and that's the person that's going to be fired. You know what I mean? So I went through that experience, and I went through that experience as an entry level employee, and also as a general manager for a certain company, and also as a regional manager for certain companies, working for a company, and probably where I probably was the head chef at probably every D1 school you can probably think of. The University of Oklahoma. I've been a D1 chef at the University of Indiana, Wyoming. Probably anywhere you could think of. Texas, University of Texas, University of Colorado. Uh, Cooked for when Deion Sanders first came to the University of Colorado. I was there. So but I also understood that in the hierarchy, corporate hierarchy, if you have a superior or someone that's over you, jealous of you, they will allowing you beyond a point where you can defend yourself. Just say that I'm a manager and I'm the only one that has connection to the CEO, and have connection to corporate because I'm a regional manager. Okay, well, if I dislike you, I feel like you're outperforming me. If I'm not secure enough in who I am, even though I hold the position of authority, they can start sabotaging and lying on you and find out ways to get you fired. That happens with someone who's already over you, that already has the position, that already has, the influence. People can do that, and that happens with people who are on the same level as you. So, treat customer complaints as free business consulting, but you really don't change everything in your company just based on one customer complaint. But if multiple people are complaining about the same thing, look and see how you can modify that system and make sure that you can streamline that system to a point where it can make work more efficient, but it's also help to get a better result where you can stop getting those complaints. So, but one thing I've learned is that the customer complaints often reveals problems that I couldn't see from the inside of the business. You should pay attention to them too. Every complaint, it really contains information about a gap in the customer experience. So instead of becoming defensive like we always do, now I'm not saying, like I said before, now I'm be open to change. Be open to individuals telling you something that's wrong with the business. You say, I mean, this business has been running like a well-oiled machine for the last 50 years. Now here's now here's Susan coming in here telling us our ice cream's not good. Now I'm not saying that, but if you over the last 50 years, if someone's telling you the ice cream is not good, and you just haven't haven't done anything about it or haven't looked into it, and you just it's time to change it. So the business I'm sorry, the businesses that listen carefully are often the businesses that improve fastest. So the more you listen, the more you can improve at a quicker rate, and that's something that you need to do. Okay. So talk point number two. You need to look for patterns instead of isolated incidents, and that's something that we just discussed about. Looking for patterns. So if you're looking for a pattern and something is it's always reoccurring. If there's always a reoccurring pattern, often like okay, this is happening here, this is happening here. Okay, there's more than one time the one a person has said something. Like I said, you do need to look into it. But when it comes to now, I'm talking about inside your staff. You do need to look into it for the simple fact of what I've talked about the sabotaging a person. But on the outside looking in, if you have different customers that don't know each other, never been around each other, never probably even seen each other in the same town or state that you have the location in, you may have to look into that because it is a reoccurring incident uh, that you can start to get the data from that. The data of it happening over and over again, recognizing those patterns and uh, putting some um, putting some solutions in place, or starting to brainstorm some solutions on the way that you can fix that. So, but one complaint, it may be a exception. It may be an exception, but repeated complaints over and over and over again, it usually points to a larger issue. So you need to recognize that as soon as possible. When multiple customers mention the same problem, it's often a signal that a process, product, or a service needs improvement. Like we just talked about, you do need to check those systems, especially those business operational systems, especially those business operational systems that can help you out. You got people try to modify your voice. People, you got influence to a certain degree, and you talk well. People try to do the craziest things, try to modify your voice, make you sound a certain type of way because jealous. You let me. I'm gonna put this out here. When you are, if I hope no one ever has to go through this, but if you have ever got to a point where you are doing something meaningful for your life, do not place yourself around certain types of people. That doesn't mean that you're trying to act better than somebody else. Doesn't mean like that. But if you are minding your business, people are going out of your way to try to destroy what you care about. Stay away from those people, man. That's why you need to be in a place where you can grow, where you can you need to all, and this is for the entrepreneurs out there. Get to a place when people talk about your dreams and goals, it sounds like regular talk. It doesn't sound like so far fetched. Who does this person think he is? Where they? Man, get away from those people, man. Get run from let them stay where they are. Let them stay around each other hating. Because you know what I'm saying. I just wanted to tell that for anybody that's becoming an entrepreneur and you're moving forward in life, you will have to go through a period, not just an isolation period, but you will have to go through a period to build tough skin. You will have to be around certain people to help your character and help you build your character. But when that time is up and you have came up with a way to move forward in life, get the hell away from those people, man. Let their ass soak in their sorrow and complaints and bullshit by themselves. And I meant that. So, um, yeah, man, yeah, leave they miserable behind where the hell they at. Let them sit around and hate on themselves. But like I say, you got to look for those patterns in order to change your operational systems, to change your operational systems. Excuse me. But I use customer feedback as well to identify trends before they become major problems. Patterns and complaints can reveal opportunities for innovation and growth, man. Kind of help you find out some better technology and get better technology. Man, we were using Toast for a long time. Well, we started off using Stripe for our restaurant company. And then once we start to get more customers, we went to a more advanced POS system, which was Stripe. So Stripe was also a good. I mean, which was Toast. So Toast is also a good system for any type of food company, coffee shop. Toast is great for that. So you guys go and check out Toast. Even for a food truck, but I think with a food truck, you can kind of basically use QuickBooks or something like that to keep tabs on it's not really until it gets to a point where you have a food truck and a brick and mortar or do a lot of caterings, you might need a more advanced POS system. But talk point number three is I turn customer frustrations into competitive advantages. I've learned that every complaint creates an opportunity to build trust, and you can do the same. When I respond quickly and professionally, customers often remember the solution more than the problem. So, and that is true. Once you respond with in a way that is nice and professional, they won't only tell you the problem, but they can also come up with a solution. So, a lot of times when people have complaints about certain products, certain services, certain things that's within your company, they'll also tell you like, okay, this happened. But if you guys just did this, there's plenty of times where even when I worked at the Waffle House a long time ago, people say, "Okay, man, I don't like how you did this, but if you just put the blueberries on top, or mix it inside of the whipped cream, then put it on top of the waffle, it'll make it a lot better. Where it's not the blueberries are not running all over the plate." I say, and sometimes if that's probably a special request, I wouldn't be able to go to corporate and suggest they change the building of this particular sandwich or waffle. But what I can do is I can implement that at that location, that idea, But if you are a CEO or you own your own company, then you can do that. You can change those the way that uh, product is built or that sandwich or whatever is built, so that it can be more efficient and it can be a better solution. But a lot of times customers do come with the solution as well. I've always heard, do not come with a complaint unless you have a solution. A lot of times people complain with things and they don't even have a solution. What do it look like me going to my boss telling him this, and this is wrong, which I don't have a boss, but God, I'm my own boss. But what does it look like me as an employee going to a individual and telling this individual this is wrong and that's wrong and this is wrong, but I have no solutions on how to fix it. When you come with the complaint, you can say, okay, well, I feel like this is the problem. This is something that's going on. This is how we're going to fix it. And I don't mean in a negative way. I don't mean being some crappy employee. I don't mean being some washed up complainer. You know what I mean? Some people work their butt off trying to get others fired and doing other things just for them to get fired from the job, or just for them to uh, 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 leave anyways. You know what I mean, man? You need to find those people and get those people out of your business. I had to do it the other day, man. I had had an employee contact me about another guy that we were working with on an art deal in France, a guy named Dan. So Dan does art, and I believe he's from France, and we have a fine art studio. But the guy named Dan, I'm thinking the guy named Dan. So the individual that I have in France, I'm working with, to go and get the art to deal with certain people. They contact me out of the blue and was like, Dan is sick. Dan is sick. So I'm thinking they're talking about the artist. Dan is like an older guy, man, a phenomenal man artist or whatever, does tapestries of kind of historical tapestries, man, whether if it's from ancient times, wars, the Bible scenes, things like that. But it's phenomenal work. And this individual, instead of just talking to me and saying, hey, this and that, or telling me that they don't like me or whatever, but I like to keep it professional. This individual uh, contacted me and told me that something happened to someone, and so I go to message this person immediately and say, "Okay, man, what's going on?" You know what I mean? That kid, I can. Is he okay? He's just not an artist, but is he okay? Uh, uh, and I'm like, okay, who is this person? Let me understand who you're talking about first. Then they turn around and they tell me, oh well, this person is a person that I met. That's a doctor. Are you jealous? I'm like, don't ever fire it immediately. Don't ever call me and ask me that's you don't flirt with your boss like that. You know what I'm saying? Don't call me and tell me that somebody is sick, and I'm thinking we're talking about the same person. So I have to clarify who you're talking about. And you're talking about like I've never came at you that way. Fired. You're fired. You know what I'm saying? If you don't if you don't come at me like a woman and say, this and that, I know this is unprofessional or something like that, even though I don't date my employees, but at the same time, I would have respected that more and we could have continued to work together. But when you do it toxic and messy and come with, I don't, no, you fired, had to fire right there on the spot. I say, I'm gonna relieve you of your duties, but you need to immediately. But like I said, talk point number three is I turn customer frustrations into competitive advantages. Man, you do need to understand that. But improving based on feedback helps me to create better experience than my competitors. And these businesses that grow the most are often the ones that learn the most from customers. So if you want to grow, you have to listen. You have to grow. You want to learn. You don't know everything. I don't know everything. I know I don't know everything, but this is one quote that always stuck with me. This is a quote that I heard that I used today, and I always and it drives me to learn more. I know you'll never learn everything there is to learn. Even an AI robot that soaks in information, watches movies, that downloads data, there's always still something to learn. There's always another psychological trick. There's always another sales technique. There's always another language to learn. You know what I mean? Never know everything. You know what I mean? So but I don't think I know everything. But the quote that's always stuck with me is, "I'm always doing what I don't know how to do, so I can know how to do it." So and sometimes it's hard. Sometimes, man, I just talked to an individual the other day, well, to email, and they were talking about like I don't even know where the first thing to start when it comes to doing my taxes. I don't know who to ask, what questions to ask. You can get jumbled up like that. But the first thing you need to understand, okay, what is taxes? Okay, I understand what taxes are. I understand that they need to be paid. Now, the next thing I need to do is, okay, if the taxes need to be paid, what percentage of taxes need? You have to break down uh, what you're doing. You're doing taxes. Okay, break down taxes and start from there. What are taxes? How what percentage of taxes needs to be paid. You know what I mean? You need to just really understand taxes and break it down. So you like, I don't know what to do. Yeah, you're gonna be like that if you don't have a start point, a focal point, where to start, and it's always gonna be crazy and in confusion. So I just basically told them, no, just start from the foundation of what you're looking to do. Okay, you're looking to do taxes. Okay, you need to understand what taxes are. Okay, obviously you don't. Don't tell me you understand what taxes are when you don't know what to do with taxes. Okay, first you need to understand completely what are taxes. Okay, how am I going to be taxed as a will it be a self-employment tax, or will it be, how would I be taxed? Think you still have to pay your self-employment tax even if you run a sole proprietorship, or if it's LLC. You still, I think it's when you get to an S corp, you won't have that self-employment tax. If you take out dividends, I don't know. I haven't done taxes. You know what I mean? I have a CPA. I go and take all my receipts and all my profit and loss statements to a guy and let him, do his thing. That's what he went to school for. I didn't go to school for that. You know what I mean? So certain things I don't know how to do, I outsource. But the things I do know how to do, I build on top of. So that's just something he needs to do, that I trust him with. So, but I just want to know that, man, customer complaints are not just problems to solve. They are valuable insights that can improve operations. They can strengthen customer loyalty and drive long-term business growth. So, this is the morning. This I said the morning roaster, but this is the House of Business Podcast 2.0. You guys can go and check out that podcast as well. It's the Morning Roasted Podcast. It's on our Daily Motion channel. But this is the House of Business Podcast 2.0. This place where we give you the knowledge and the tools to execute your dreams and your visions. And we come live from New York City. We'll see you back here next Saturday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.